Hello everyone, Riskmonger here, and today I'll be looking back at the 2017 World Series through the lens of both fantasy baseball and astrological signs. Let's start things off with the very first batter of the World Series, Houston Astros center fielder George Springer, who happens to be a Virgo. It doesn't matter that Springer struck out in his first World Series at bat, or his second, or his third, or even his fourth, because in the next 6 games he would go on to mash 5 home runs, drive in 7 RBIs, put up 29 total bases, and also have a top 10 World Series performance in terms of win probability added, according to Fangraphs. All that production adds up to 209 fantasy points and a whopping average of 29.9 points per game, which means he surely earned the World Series MVP honors with which he was bestowed. To put that in perspective over a full season, Springer racked up 2,118 fantasy points on the year, with 15.5 points per game, earning an All-Star nod, and finishing as the 3rd highest scoring center fielder in baseball, behind only Charlie Blackmon and Mike Trout. In terms of the outfield of the Virgo Maidens, Springer was outscored only by Justin Upton, but the next best available option to fill out an outfield corner also appeared in the World Series in the other dugout. Los Angeles Dodgers center fielder and leadoff hitter Chris Taylor started his World Series off opposite of Springer, but couldn't keep it up, barely cracking 10 points per game over the entire Fall Classic. In the 2017 regular season, Taylor scored 1,852 fantasy points in a truly breakout performance, qualifying in center field, left field, and second base with a little time at shortstop. Finishing second in the Earth Division in 2017 were the Taurus Bulls, and their top-ranked player going into 2017 at number 3 overall is AL MVP candidate Jose Altuve. Interestingly enough, the diminutive second baseman was outscored on the Taurus roster only by his closest AL MVP competition, 6'7" outfielder Aaron Judge. In terms of World Series production, Altuve did quite well, just breaking 100 fantasy points with 14 points per game, even though his batting average sat under the Mendoza line. 3 Astros batters broke 100 fantasy points in the World Series, but only 1 Dodger accomplished that feat, outfielder Jock Peterson, which is somewhat unexpected given that young Jock was slumping so badly in August that he was optioned to the minor leagues. But his 3 home runs in the World Series not only led the Dodgers and placed second overall to Springer, but his power display and lively celebrations spawned the delightful hashtag Jocktober, which I hope LA gets a chance to tweet again next year. Yasmani Grandal was the starting catcher for both the Dodgers and the Scorpio Scorpions in 2017, but when the playoffs started, the switch-hitting Grandal promptly lost his spot to younger Capricorn Austin Barnes. Grandal was the only Scorpio batter to appear in the World Series, but Houston had 2 Scorpion bullpen pieces, high-leverage weapon Chris Davinsky, who got the win in that wild extra inning Game 2, and starter-turned-lefty specialist Francisco Liriano, who came over in a midseason trade and faced exactly 2 batters in the World Series, and was even relieved by Davinsky in Game 7. Speaking of Game 7, the winning pitcher in Game 7 was also a Scorpio, Charlie Morton, who was also the Astros' Game 4 starter. Few who looked at Houston's pitching staff, which includes former Cy Young winners Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander, would have predicted that Morton would end up as the team's overall pitching points leader in the World Series. But the playoffs has a funny way of minting unlikely heroes. The former Pirates product quietly pitched like an ace this year, averaging more than 61 points per game in 2017, after amping up his velocity in a short stint in Philadelphia, and then getting signed to an unheralded 2-year contract. And his journey from middle-of-the-road starter to elite playoff performer is well documented in an article by Dave Cameron of Fangraphs. So as we watch the Houston Astros celebrate the first World Series championship in franchise history, we look ahead to the offseason, where we'll find out which teams will acquire the best new players and who will net the biggest free agent contracts as we eagerly await the start of baseball in 2018. See you next time.